Welcome to Unity Church, where people have gathered in grief, gladness, and gratitude for over a century. Welcome to these sacred and sheltering walls that Ethel knew so well. We know that death comes to us all. Sometimes it comes far too soon. Many of us gathering from our singular rooms are still in shock that someone so vital, full of life and love, has been suddenly taken from us. Today, we come together to mark the loss we all share and to celebrate a remarkable life. It is up to all of us now to remember, to consider the meanings of the complementary pieces that Ethel wove together in the person she was. We speak, we are silent, we listen, we sing, we touch the earth. We learn surprising details. We savor what has been. We honor the breadth and the depth and complexity of Ethel's unique life, and as we do so, we honor life itself, the ceaseless coming into birth and going into death, and the in-between, which is our lives. The glory of finding love and creating family, making new friends and treasuring long-time friends, the loss of those we love, and always learning. Fascinated by the natural world and inviting others into becoming fascinated as well. Come, let us celebrate this unique and precious life. Come, let us take the time we need to honor the life of Ethel Welch Griggs.
My friends, we gather here this morning as one family, bound together by our loss, united by our grief at the death of Ethel Griggs, and by our gratitude to be counted among those whose lives she touched. Death comes to us all. Its primary meaning for those of us who live on is that death awakens us to the fact that our lives are far more precious and far more fragile than we ordinarily assume. The only way to imbue such loss with meaning is to stay awake and change the way we live. So we are here to hold one another. We are here to sympathize, and we are here to try to understand. Our faith does not diminish death by attempting to explain it away. The magnitude of death cannot and should not be diminished. Grief is something to be lived through. Grief, well lived, can be a gift. There are some things all of us should know about grief. There is no one right way to do it. Each of us finds her or his own way. The true work of grief is twofold. First, to honor what we've lost, and then to grow into the full awareness of our true inheritance. In time, we will come to some new sense of peace, but grief doesn't go away. It isn't something people get over. Instead, time teaches us to weave each loss into the fabric of our lives And as we do, we become stronger, more compassionate, and yes, more loving from the loss. We also need to know that when we lose someone we love, it brings back every other loss we've ever suffered. Though each of us needs time to grieve alone, we also need to return to our communities of family and friends. Just as villagers return to the well to gather the water of life, we seek out one another as a source of nourishment and strength. Today, we gather at the well to hold each other in our grief, to hold this family in the midst of their loss, and to be reminded that life is indeed a precious and a fragile gift.
And now will you join with us in the responsive reading, All Souls? Will you join with Rob in reading the responsive? Did someone say that there would be an end?
An end? Oh, an end to love and mourning?
What has once been so interwoven cannot be raveled, nor the gift ungiven.
Now the dead move through all of us, still glowing.
Mother and child, lover and lover mated are wound and bound together and inflowing.
What has been plaited cannot be unplaited. Only the strands grow richer with each loss.
And memory makes kings and queens of us.
Dark into lightness, light into darkness spin, when all the birds have flown to some real haven.
We who find shelter in the warmth within, listen and feel new cherished, new forgiven.
As the lost human voices speak through us and blend our complex love, our mourning without end.
And will you please join with us in a moment of silence?
And will you pray with me? Holy One, source of radiance and reason, thou whose love endows and animates our lives, we acknowledge thy presence within, among, and beyond us. When we would turn away from the work before us, help us to embrace this present time. We would neither languish in our grief, nor would we deny our need to grieve by rushing back too quickly to the daily round of obligations. We pause in this prayer and in this moment to hold Chani, who is struggling for life and was rushed to Mayo this morning. Strengthen us, we pray, in self-reflection, that in our time of grief we might encourage in ourselves and in each other the informed, compassionate concern for those she loved, the profound sense of fairness, the intellectual curiosity, the forgiving heart, and eager wonder for all beauty our beloved friend brought to her time among us. God bless us each as our dear Ethel sought to bless us all. In her memory and in her honor, may we cultivate in our lives those things that mattered most to her, that her spirit may live on in the world she loved so dearly. May it be so, and amen. Friends, our readings this morning were chosen by the family. The first one, A Mother's Love, was chosen by Bill and Chauncey, Ethel's sons. A mother's love is something that no one can explain. It is made of deep devotion and of sacrifice and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring, come what may, for nothing can destroy it or take that love away. It is patient and forgiving when all others are forsaking, and it never fails or falters even though the heart is breaking. It believes beyond believing when the world around condemns, and it glows with all the beauty of the rarest, brightest gems. It is far beyond defining. It defies all explanation, and it still remains a secret like the mysteries of creation, a many-splendored miracle we cannot understand, and another wondrous evidence of God's tender, guiding hands.
The Veil by Mary Oliver. There are moments when the veil seems almost to lift, and we understand what the earth is meant to mean to us. The trees and their docility, the hills and their patience, the flowers and the vines in their wild, sweet vitality. Then the word is within us, and the book is put away.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, we were made for dreams and bones. Need a spot to call my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, I'll find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain comes tumbling down. Plant your rows straight and long, season them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will keep you strong if you give her love and care. Old crow watching from a tree has his hungry eye on me. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch and row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain comes tumbling down. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain comes tumbling down.
And now a collage of memories and appreciations of Ethel. This from Jean Olson. Ethel was a loyal friend and gardening buddy, always helpful and busy. She visited me often, and her visits were usually one of the highlights of my week. Her passing has left me deep in sadness with a giant hole in my life.
And her friend Mary Karras writes, Ethel was particularly proud of the landscaping at the main entrance of Unity. She should be. She was the garden designer, and she procured the plants which she lovingly cultivated there each spring. She was Unity Gardeners' organizer and our greatest cheerleader. We will miss her friendly leadership style, her institutional memory, and her creative personality. Rest in peace, good steward, Ethel.
This from Susan Foote. One of the great pleasures of coffee hour at Unity were conversations with Ethel, and even more fun when she was joined by her dear sisters. They were full of tales of growing up in St. Paul, laughing and interacting with each other. As a member of the gardening team, I was awed by Ethel's knowledge of plants and her vision for Unity's welcoming gardens. She created beauty for all of us to enjoy.
And Kathy Seidels writes, this summer when I spent time upgrading a corner of Unity's churchyard for pollinators, people on Ethel's garden committee would show up, jump out of their cars, and get the garden maintenance work done while distanced and masked. I was impressed by Ethel's ability to organize and inspire people to get the work done, and she was always interested in what we were doing in the pollinator garden.
This from dear friends John and Marcia Souchere. When we think of Ethel, we picture her lovely smile with a twinkle in her eye, and especially think of her beautiful gardens and the joy she took in creating them, which were a gift to all who saw them. She will be greatly missed.
Ethel's nephew, Ben Foster, writes, I will remember Aunt Ethel for being so relatable to everyone, whether it was to me as a young child, a teen, or an emerging parent. She gave me her empathy, advice, and 2 cents in a direct, respectful, and palatable way. She was so cool that way. My fondest memories with her include being the youngest and dispersing presents at Christmas, watching Wizard of Oz at her house, and playing the Skittles game.
This from her cousin Sally Patterson. In the 1970s, Ethel and I had a Girl Scout troop out of J.J. Hill School, sponsored by the Hallie Q. Brown Community Center. With her lifelong Girl Scout experiences, her teaching career, and her psychology degree, she was, of course, the real leader. She provided creative, adventuresome, appropriate activities for our troop. Sometimes the troop was up to 40 girls. She even got her mother, my Aunt Ariel, to come knit and listen to the girls chat about their lives. But it was Ethel's interest and ability to mentor so many of the girls as individuals that impressed me the most. She really understood and helped them grow up. In the past few years, I've seen one of those girls, now a woman, working at the post office at Hamlin and Concordia. She greets me and always asks about and tells me to say hello to Ms. Griggs.
Oldest sister Ariel writes, over many years, our roles evolved, and it was our mother who needed our care. Ethel and I visited alternate weekdays. My other sisters visited on the weekends, so that Mother would have at least one family member visit most days. Because Ethel and I were rarely seen together, several of the care staff thought we were the same person. One day, Ethel and I showed up together to the surprise of the staff, and one remarked, "Are you twins?" The 7-age difference had melted away.
This from Florence Furlong, Chauncey's mother-in-law. Ethel was true blue, nothing put on. Ethel spoke lovingly of family, her sisters, and especially her grandchildren. Ethel rarely spoke about herself. People were important to her. Shawnee, the love of her life, was her center. One of the last times I was with Ethel was when my daughter Eileen arranged for the three of us to have lunch at a new restaurant named Shut Up and Eat in Portland, Oregon. Lunch was delightful, and we shared good food and enjoyed a great visit. Later, via exchange notes, Ethel and I spoke of our visit to Shut Up and Eat. Ethel remarked, "Well, we did eat, but we never did shut up." I loved Ethel's sense of humor, class, intelligence, and non-judgmental approach to people, life, and living. She will be sorely missed and will continue to be missed by everyone that knew and loved her. And Ethel, if I gain admittance, will you please save me a seat at the big table up there? With love, from Florence.
And the youngest sister, Cynthia Mills, writes, "Years ago, when I was trying to cope with a very difficult time in my life, Ethel stopped by with a small art poster by Mary Ann Radmacher Hershey that she had found. I framed and hung the poster by my bed so that the words were the first thing I saw when I woke up and the last thing I saw at night. It's called courage. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, 'I will try again tomorrow.' Those words sum up Ethel so well for me. Quietly strong and courageous, full of love and determination."
This from Sally Foster, also a sister. As I look around the room we have rearranged for visiting granddaughters, I zero in on Ethel's contribution to the effort. A cuddly koala puppet eager to hug, an inquisitive turtle puppet with a attracting neck eager to hide. And we also have a train with a clown for a conductor and cargo of zoo animals. Who knows where that train is headed? Ethel knew how to connect, and she especially knew how to connect with children, and I learned so much from her.
And her older sister, Barbara Bliss, writes, "Ethel was a wonderful and loving gardener."
And this from dear friend Hillary Magnuson. I first met Ethel as a second grader at Linwood School. She and her family had just moved from Birmingham, Alabama to settle in Minnesota. She was shy but friendly and oh, so smart. I loved to hear her count. When she counted to 10, it came out as 10. So cute. We became good friends through all the years that followed, even as classmates at Unity Church Sunday School and Tower Club. We participated in all the Christmas pageants, ending up as angels. After Linwood, we went to Summit School and then to Smith College. She and Shawnee were married first at Unity Church in the sanctuary. 2 years later, I was married in the chapel at Unity due to the fire in 1963. Both of us were married by Arthur Foote. I had a wonderful dog, a collie named Laddie, who was from a litter of Ethel's dog, Bonnie. We had children who knew each other at SPA and grandchildren, one of whom was born a couple of days after 2 of mine at the same hospital. We both played tennis, loved our time at Camp Widgewagon, and for her last 16 years have been going to the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra together, enjoying the concert, followed by lunches in the neighborhood. Our careers were similar as that we were both elementary school teachers for several years at our alma mater. Ethel was always the first to reach out to me when a crisis presented itself in my life. I'm so thankful that our lives intersected as often as they did. She was like a sister to me.
Niece Sarah Foster writes, "There are so many things I appreciate and love about Aunt Ethel. She was always so warm and welcoming and curious about what I was up to. When we would talk, I felt like I was in this special spotlight she was shining on me. I will miss her flower arrangements at all our family gatherings and spending all my childhood Christmas days at her house. I appreciate and was jealous that her hair always looked so perfect. Honestly, I don't know if she ever had a bad hair day. I'm so happy that I got to wear her wedding dress, and I'm so sad that she never got to hold my daughter. She will live in my heart forever."
And this from another niece, Biz Mills. Aunt Ethel introduced me to many wonderful books, including a series about dragons that I reread so many times that the books fell apart.
Sister-in-law Virginia Magnuson writes, "Goodbye, dear friend. You were part of my life for many years, and I will miss you. I cherish the memories and adventures we shared."
This from another cousin, Blake Davis. My first contact with Ethel was when the family first arrived in St. Paul from Alabama. They arrived with a pregnant collie, and it wasn't long before she settled down under the Davis family back porch to give birth to 4 very cute puppies. Unfortunately, they could not get out from under the porch. Either because I was the only male or the only person small enough to get under the porch, I was designated to retrieve the new family of dogs. The Welch family, and especially Ethel, were most helpful with the transfer of the dogs. Ethel was always a very welcoming, friendly cousin to me. And for a week, I was a temporary grounds person at the Girl Scout camp, Northwoods, where Ethel and her scout troop were there as well. They were very busy, and so was I, but she was extremely good at making myself and my fellow workers feel a part of the things they were doing. Ethel was always willing to volunteer, witness her long hours maintaining the gardens at Unity Church for many years.
And Karen Schubert, a dear friend, writes, "Ethel and I met about 40 years ago, opponents on a tennis court who ended up becoming doubles partners. We soon discovered that we had common interests off the court as well. Our love of music led us to subscriptions to the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra's coffee concerts, to which we carpooled, solving the world's problems along the ride and discussing books we were reading. We also both enjoyed gardening, and it's in the gardens where our friendship really grew. We hauled truckloads of mulch, soil, and plants to beautify our gardens. Ethel very generously shared plants from her garden when I built a new house, and we spent hours on our knees laughing as we toiled in the soil. There is an abundance of Ethel plants around my house and woods where she will continue to smile and spread joy. Thank you, Ethel, for adding beauty to my little corner of the world. Thank you for enriching my life."
This from nephew Adam Mills and Maria, spouse of Adam. At the baby shower for our son, everyone was asked to fill out a card with parenting advice. We never forgot what Aunt Ethel wrote, and when we went to find it today, it was sitting right on top of all the other advice cards. It reads, "View the world through your child's eyes. It's more exciting and interesting. It also helps you understand when the environment needs changing." This advice perfectly captures our memories of Aunt Ethel. She was always there to provide an honest and insightful view of the world, delivered in a warm and caring fashion. We will miss her.
Jill Romans, a niece, writes, "Aunt Ethel was not just an aunt, godmother, and amazing friend, classmate, sister-in-law to my mom. She was also a mentor and caregiver to so many children. Aunt Ethel was so passionate about the work she did with children. In particular, I recall vividly the times I was able to listen and learn from her about sand play as a therapeutic medium for children. I was fortunate to do my psychology internship at children's hospitals and clinics, which afforded me the chance to see her doing one of the many things she loved. Aunt Ethel believed in the power of storytelling and the therapeutic comfort of play. The sandbox afforded children opportunities to understand and work through their stories. I will also always think of her with a gigantic smile on her face. When we would engage others in conversation, which seemed to be all the time, she always had that smile. I will miss her dearly.
And this from neighbors Charlie and Maria Gersh. When we first moved next door to Ethel and Johnny on Portland, we found Ethel a charming, welcoming neighbor. Happily, we discovered early on that when she was out calling for Charlie, she was not calling her new neighbor, but rather her ever-wandering beagle, named Charlie as well. We too had only boys until our Catherine arrived. Ethel finally had a chance to sew a beautiful dress. Happily for us, it was for our new daughter. Ethel was a great cook and a fine hostess, often inviting neighbors in for exquisite meals. It was and continued to be a charm to have had Ethel and Johnny in our life after each of us had moved on from Portland Avenue, often only through word of mouth.
A dear friend, Ruth Otto, writes, I had the privilege of being Ethel's best female friend, BFF, for about 2 years. Our intense friendship started when she came to Summit School, which was about 4th grade. For 2 years, Ethel and I were inseparable. We played dolls together, not the baby kind, but the I want to be a high school girl kind. Mine was named Cherry, after Cherry Ames, the nurse equivalent of Nancy Drew. We bonded over a worship of the British royalty through a biography called The Little Princesses, long before those two grew up to be the focus of a popular TV series. At school, we were true soulmates, loving to read and liking to study. In 6th grade, we solemnly cemented our relationship by exchanging friendship rings to be removed only when one of us found a boyfriend. That symbolic bonding was short-lived. At the end of about 2 months, Ethel proudly announced that she had a new flame from SPA, a small tragedy for me. Happily, our friendship survived. Through Girl Scouts and camps, through church choir and tower club at Unity Church, through joining with a larger group in high school who humbly referred to ourselves as the clique. After high school, we went to women's colleges in close proximity to each other, but by that time our lives had taken different turns. We remained close friends. I was in her wedding, but we saw each other little for the next 25 years. I lived elsewhere with a life far from Minnesota. In 1988, I returned to the Twin Cities with a husband and a 2-year-old. Ethel and I renewed our friendship, and she followed closely the adventures and misadventures of my daughter. Years later, when my daughter had become a teacher, she even volunteered in my daughter's classroom. I tell you this now because it is this later bond which I now hold dear. I got stranded in Minnesota this spring and summer thanks to COVID, and I became a grandmother for the first time, and there was Ethel again. She came soon after the baby was born. Later visited in the driveway. She brought the baby a present, and the week before she died, she remembered and sent a birthday greeting to my 1-year-old little granddaughter, a gift to me far greater than any friendship ring could ever be. Thank you, Ethel, for all those years.
This from another friend, Sandra Rowe. Ethel was incredibly able to achieve the highest marks in all subjects at school. From 3rd grade on, when I first joined our class, it was clear I could never surpass her abilities in academics. I don't remember even one instance when she made me feel any less of a person because I was not a straight-A student like she was. Another major talent was her garden design and her ability to arrange flowers. This was a passion we shared, and it was always fun to visit her summer garden and compare notes. While I lived on the other side of town and didn't see her as often, and then I moved into Montana and saw her even less, she was always glad to see me and even came to my ranch with a few other classmates to see what life was like for me out west. There will be a large hole whenever our Summit School class of 1959 gathers going forward.
And this from Dutton Foster. Caroline and I recall that some years ago, Jan suggested I host a Wellspring Wednesday reading of excerpts from A Raisin in the Sun. Ethel joined us, remarking that she had never felt that she had the talent to try out for school plays, but that she wanted to give this a shot. Of course, she read her parts with sensitivity and feeling, and afterward exclaimed how much she had enjoyed the experience of dipping her toes into acting.
It is with great sadness that Rob and I officiate at this memorial service. There are some things that you never imagine yourself doing, and yet it is always an honor and a privilege, as it is so this morning. We do so to seek to celebrate such a rich and vibrant life that has been taken away from us without our consent. Ethel was born into a strong family with a strong and determined mother. She was encouraged to be a strong girl and then woman. She was bright, studious, and inquisitive. She was a voracious reader all of her life and a lifelong learner. She was a committed Girl Scout and was part of the first crew of only girls who canoed into Voyager. As a high school senior, she was chosen to be one of only few of the United States representatives to an international gathering of Girl Scouts, which of course was a real honor. While attending high school, she caught the eye of the older brother of her dear friend Jenny, with whom she walked to school most every day. Shawnee asked her out on a date. Now, her parents happened to be out of town at the time, so older sister Ariel was consulted by Ethel and their other older sister, Barbara. Barbara asked Ariel, should she be allowed to go out with him? You know, he has a reputation for driving way too fast. Ariel consented to let her go out on that first day, and from there, a foundational love blossomed between them. And yes, the reputation was earned. Shawnee loved to fly, windsurf, boat, ski, and drive fast. But Ethel learned to join him in all of those adventures. She even learned to fly a plane. Their relationship was grounded upon values of mutual respect, shared passions, and interest. They made a life full of meaning and purpose, and they created joy in their lives, but also for those who they came to know and love, most especially their children and grandchildren. Ethel was an artist of the most profound variety. Yes, she created beauty in her gardening, but most importantly, she was an artist in the arts of living and nurturing. These words from Arthur Graham: each of us is an artist whose task it is to shape life in some semblance of the pattern we dream of. The molding is not self alone, but of shared tomorrows and times we shall never see. So let us be about our task. The materials are very precious and perishable. Ethel understood about the preciousness and fragility of our shared lives. It is what drove her to be a professional child psychologist and a sand tray therapist. Create a safe environment where children can share their stories, their fears and their dreams, make quiet space for healing and wonder to emerge. Fueled by that very love and wonder, Ethel was loyal to her core, to the people, to family in particular, and to places she loved. She was a devoted friend, and once you were her friend, you were a friend for life. She was a loyal and devoted caretaker and caregiver. She was a woman of the land who took delight in the beauty of the natural world around us. She was a nurturer, first of family and friends, and then of children, of nieces and nephews, and of grandchildren, with whom she worked, and in the gardens of home and of Unity Church. To be in active relationship with the things that grow, like children and flowers, is to meet the cycle of life and death on an intimate basis. Through her gardening, she nurtured life and created sanctuaries of beauty. Ethel understood the transforming power that beauty can instill. Her passion for color, for style, was a practice her entire life. She loved bold colors and created decorations and decor that were graceful and always lovely and inviting. She was fiercely fair. She counted out things so that no one got more and no one was ever slighted. She created an environment of wonder and possibility for those she loved. She wanted to nurture that same wonder in her children and grandchildren, so she did things like she collected agates that her own mother had collected and placed them on the beach to be found again by wide-eyed grandchildren. As her children, nieces, nephews, and grandchildren grew, she shared more of her intellectual and spiritual interests. She paid particular attention to people's interests and concerns. This made her a very sensitive gift giver. She seemed always able to pick the perfect gift for someone. Often it was not given on a specific special day or holiday, but because she had seen something in a store and was struck by its relevance in someone's life. She was generous of spirit. She did not dwell on the imperfections or shortcomings of others, and often made sure that people knew they were welcome around her table. She had the kind of personal generosity and curiosity that she could easily shine on another human being, so curious to hear their stories. We will miss her spirit. We will miss her curiosity and her loving encouragement, her appreciation and patience with each of us. We will miss the strength of her character, the love of life and of travel, her openness to the beauty and blessing of everyone and every moment. Unto all things there is a season. There is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to sow and a time to reap, a time to gather in and a time to cast away, a time for love and a time for peace. We have come to the time for peace. We were not meant to live forever. It is this very fact which makes each life sacred. What alone endures is the spirit with which a person has met life, and this does not die. Ethel met life, and it met her in response. If what a person has done is good, and if what a person has done is true, then that goodness and truth do not die, but live on to bless those of us who come after, and it blesses all of humanity. It is the central message of every world religion. What is truly good cannot be destroyed, and that the universe wastes nothing. We all have our mistakes and weaknesses and shortcomings. They die with us, but our victories of character and spirit remain. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Ethel believed in this sweet and precious life. She lived out her beliefs every day, and her life came down on the side of joy and of love. As her life is closed, as to each it must, in earth's great and final democracy, let each of us here, touched in very special ways by her life, keep some essence of her strength and love, and may this awareness comfort and bless her memory, as her life has been such a blessing to us. We often end our eulogies here at Unity with a charge to the community gathered. Take these words from the writer Shauna LeMay, in lieu of flowers. Although I loved flowers very much, I won't see them when I'm gone. So in lieu of flowers, I would wish you to flower, to be open. I would wish for you to blossom and to be beautiful. I would wish for you to align your soul for a time with flowers. Although I love flowers very much, Please buy a book of poetry written by someone still alive. Sit outside with a cup of tea or a glass of wine and read it out loud, silently by yourself or to someone. Spend time with a single flower, a rose perhaps. Smell it, touch its petals, really look at it. Watch birds. Common sparrows are fine, pigeons too. Geese are nice, robins. In lieu of flowers, walk in the trees and watch the light fall into it. Eat an apple, a really nice big one. I hope it's crisp. It should be. Have a long soak in the bathtub with candles, maybe some rose petals floating on the water. Sit on the front stoop and watch the clouds. Have a dish of strawberry ice cream in my name or chocolate. If it's winter, have a cup of hot chocolate outside for me. If it's summer, a big glass of ice water. If it's autumn, collect some leaves and press them into a book you love. I'd like that. Sit and look out a window and write down what you see. Write some other things down. In lieu of flowers, I wish for you to flower. I would wish for you to blossom, to open, to be beautiful. I would wish for you to align your soul for a time with flowers. May it be so, and amen.
Friends, thank you so much for being with us here today. We want to end with these words from the beloved minister of this church, Arthur Foote, who presided at Ethel's wedding and at Ariel's and at so many other people's. And so, friends, may peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our wills and the love of truth forever guide us. Amen.